Redneck Caviar, the podcast where we talk about Southern cuisine and whatever that entails. With me today is Jade Henderson, a Southern chef and foodie from Mississippi. How you doing?
All right, how are you?
Yeah, not so bad. I'm excited to speak to you. We've done anything like this before. So, yeah, why don't you tell me where you grew up?
Where I grew up?
Yeah.
Um, I was born in Gulfport, Mississippi. Family moved to Atlanta for a period of time. After the divorce, me and my mom moved to Virginia, college in North Carolina, moved back to Atlanta, and then after Atlanta, I moved back to Gulfport, and then I started working on cruise ships.
How was that growing up, moving around a lot? I moved to a lot of countries, so I know
You
you.
did, yeah. It's it's cool because we all got like the same kind of culture, but you got to keep making new friends and different friends all the time. So it
Yeah,
does get
definitely.
rough.
And you said you worked on a fishing boat.
Cruise boat, cruise ship,
Oh, okay. How was that?
awesome.
Yeah, I
Got
can.
to go to Mexico, the Caribbean, France, Canada, Alaska, Hawaii, all those places.
Did you ever go anywhere in Europe?
Went to Cap Og, France, Gastronomicon Culinary School,
Yeah. How
and
long did you?
Maltefile, France.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like French cooking your baseline then.
Hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there's a lot of it in the South. Anyway, I'm not sure about Mississippi, but like in Florida, in Louisiana, and things like that. But
Really, where are you from?
originally, I'm from Germany. I was born in Switzerland.
Okay.
I moved to the UK when I was in like 2002, so when I was like two, and I've
Okay.
lived there most of my life. But I moved to Miami in 2008, and from then until like 2000 and probably around 2018, I lived between Miami, Texas, and New Mexico,
Okay.
and I've also traveled for like vacations, road trips across the South and US a lot. So I've been around.
How much is America different from where you said originally Germany?
I didn't live much in Germany. I spent most of my life in the UK. But
Okay.
the difference is definitely, I mean, the size. Everything from the houses to the roads to like the
The refrigerators.
refrigerators. It's all much bigger
Yeah.
in America, in particular. Yeah. Um, so yeah, I mean, what was your favorite place to live?
My favorite place to live was Hawaii, believe it or not. It was tropical all the time. Um, there was some stuff that reminded me of home. Instead of orange sweet potatoes, they had purple ones. They were called toros. Lots of gravy, lots of barbecue, and that's all a luau means, barbecue. That's what it means. So,
The barbecue. And from
mhm,
Mississippi,
mhm,
I'm sure they do a lot with like fruit, like pineapple.
mhm. Actually, no, Hawaiian people don't really eat pineapple like that. That's kind of funny. They just sell it. They like when you go over there, you ask for Hawaiian pizza. There's no pineapple on it. Kind of similar. You go to Europe and you ask for American, and they put the French fries on the burger. We don't.
You know, the
We
same.
eat it separate. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Hawaii is, although I mean in my opinion, I've never been, but quite a contrast to anything else in the South.
Yeah.
I suppose, except for like Florida, where it's humid and tropical too.
Well, if you go along the coastline, there's lots, even Louisiana, Gulfport, there's lots of palm trees there.
Yeah,
So there's palm trees are just taller on the West Coast than in Florida. That's how you can tell where side of the country you're on. Florida palm trees are shorter than California palm trees. So we have sago bushes that you can plant in your yard, and they look like very, very big pineapples.
nice.
So, and then if you go down to New Orleans where O'Hara is and Canal Street, you'll see all the palm trees all over the place. So,
Yeah, I was in New Orleans once, but I was young, so I don't remember. Um,
really?
yeah, I just remember like the voodoo stuff. Ironically,
Yeah.
yeah, not much of it. Yeah, so tell me about your culinary past. Have you ever worked in like any restaurants?
Yeah, I started out in Atlanta, small restaurant. It was a mom and pop restaurant. I got an opportunity to change the menu there. It would be like a, family pizzeria during the day, and then it would come into a hip hop club or club at night. Then I moved to Neighbors Pub. That chef came in, was in the process of trying to reformat that owner's menu to bring more people in. So it was more of a tapas, Southwestern style. I worked in the Atlanta airport. That's where I got my speed. You have to be very, very fast in Atlanta airport because you have 7 minutes to get them up out of there. And so I left Atlanta and I jumped on Norwegian Cruise Line. So I got into the Top Steakhouse. So I was cooking in there. I got to visit some chef tables at George Franklin's Bistro. It's a French-based bistro. Um, After the cruise ship, it was the research vessel. So I got to actually do my own menu, do my own thing. They didn't have a set menu. So that's more of an educational cruise. So
Yeah.
those people kind of go with the flow. Then when that tour ended, I got on the paddle boat. So we did the up and down the Mississippi River to where all the gumbos. Well, gumbo was at the Atlanta airport too. So gumbos, greens, shrimp and grits, baked macaroni, potato salad, stuff like that. Grilled peach and tomato salad was, a big thing too. After that paddle boat, the researcher Hawaii called me back. So I got to go to Hawaii twice, which is very rare for people that do cruise ships. But the research vessel in Hawaii was for the University of Hawaii kind of thing. So we're way out, and I got to learn how to make authentic miso soup because the first group was Japanese scientists, and then we had another group. So I got to learn all their cuisines while we're in the middle of nowhere. Research vessel went to American Cruise Line, so I got to go see the Seattle, Portland area. I got to see St. Augustine in Florida, Jacksonville, all the way up that side, got all the way to Maine, all their lobster-based stuff, back up and down the Mississippi River. And then the last boat was Blount Ships. So it would start in Connecticut. And if you look at the line of the United States, where it's Canada and the United States, that line, there is a river there. And there's small lakes and rivers. And got to go and ride around the Great Lakes to Chicago. So lots of traveling and different food.
Yeah, I'd say it's phenomenal. And you said your favorite place was Hawaii.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a kind of a peaceful, no rush kind of thing going on there. Like, not such a rush.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I think working in restaurants, like the rush takes a lot of the
Yeah.
out of the food. So lose a lot of your passion. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in terms of cooking food, what did you prefer there?
What, in Hawaii? Or
No,
what do I prefer in general? Cooking food.
what do you prefer to cook?
I prefer to cook different types of seafood. So I do eat shrimp and grits. I do eat sauteed crab. I do like different types of fish. All of it doesn't have to be fried. I'll do some blackened. I'll do some grilled. I'll do some fried. But yeah, you always gonna want to cook. If you ever look at any chef, they always end up kind of cooking what they grew up with. That's usually like the heart of most of their cooking. So if it's infused with something, you got to look at the base. If it's Southern and Asian infused, that's because, that person came from a Southern background, but is interested in how stuff looks in Asian culture,
Yeah, that's true. Actually, I cook a lot of German food, so
Yeah.
which is also closely related to Southern things. So
Yeah.
it makes sense. Yeah, cool. I mean, when you were on the cruise boat, how long would you go without stopping?
What do you mean?
Like from one destination to another? Would it be like,
How do we go without stopping?
I mean,
One more time.
how long would you go? Would it be like a couple of days
What, working?
for like travel from one spot to the next?
They're called contracts. So Norwegian was 5 months on and 5 weeks off. So I had to work 5 months straight. Then I get 5 weeks off. The research, the educational cruise is going to be 3 months on and 3 months off. So it just depends on the contract that you accept. The paddle boat was 9 weeks on, 3 weeks off, and things. So go back and forth like that.
So when they like store meat and things, do they just freeze it all, or do they just like resupply whenever they?
So depending on the boat, so we'll give you two extremes. So the research vessel, we're out in the middle of the ocean for a good month, so nobody's coming to us.
Yeah.
So we would load the boat up and strategically map out our meals so we don't waste anything.
Yeah.
But we ended up growing our own herbs like scallions, basil, thyme, oregano. We would have it in pots and we were growing it in the window. So we didn't have to worry about running out of herbs. We would grow our onions on the rooftop, but all the meat would be frozen. And we had it. I mean, it's very strategic. You really have to know how to pack and put enough in a small space away so we can, not waste food.
Obviously, a lot of seafood, though, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you're in the ocean, that you can, yeah, they're not going to stop you from pulling it right on in. So we don't really focus on the seafood part on the boat because you're in the ocean. So, and then Norwegian, we docked once a week in Honolulu. So we just needed enough food for the cruise, and then we would reload up again in Honolulu, and that's it.
And did you fish off the boat?
We did in the educational cruise when we all the way in the Caribbean. So you got the jumper fish and trout, all kind of stuff. So we would have the poles and stuff out there, and you'll feel them tugging. Oh shoot, So we would fish.
What's the biggest fish you caught?
About that big, but I didn't want to kill it. I'm all, oh no, I don't want to kill the guy. It just usually comes to me dead. About that big. I couldn't remember the name of the fish though. It was in between St. Cruz. It was a cove that we got in there. There was plenty of fish bouncing around there. So.
Yeah, I've only fished a couple times, and yeah, my fish were never much bigger than that. So.
Right. Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah. Well, you know what? If you ever watch a boat, the boat kicks up the fish, so the birds fly behind the boat and just. So if you ever watch boat, that's where they're throwing the thing, like getting the best one. So
yeah, come to think of it, I've never been on a boat at all. So I don't know, I feel a bit odd going on a cruise anywhere with like no.
Really? Why?
Well, firstly, I mean, I hear things like the lifeboats, for example, don't actually have to match the number of people on the actual visitors on the thing. And I don't know, I mean, I'd go on a boat, like on a small boat trip, like for a weekend or something, but certainly not a cruise.
Well, to clarify that, they follow along Solstice 1. So we have a combination of lifeboats and life rafts. That's the part that people don't tell you. So the lifeboats, like on something like Norwegian, it generally is about capacity to 75 to 100 and something people, depending on the location of the boat. Then after that, we have a series of life rafts that hold up to 20 to 40 people. So just because you see the lifeboat, the life rafts are compact in a little capsule. So you might see a capsule next to the boat. That's a life raft. So the boat can't hold so many lifeboats because that's a whole boat. We use that boat to go and bring you back and forth. You'll weigh the boat down and throw off the buoyancy. So they also did additional life rafts in addition to the life jackets. So the life jackets is not supposed to be for like the last alternative, but if it's something happened and you didn't make it to the boat, it's designed to keep you afloat so you can get pulled onto something and out of harm's way. So we have to go through an extensive training on a cruise ship. You got firefighter training, STCW training, and all that. So
do you get any training for other people? Because imagine you go nuts. Like, that type of person.
Well, it's terrifying. Well, you got to get your merchant mariner license. So after that, you fall, especially with us, you fall under the sea law. So like within the U.S. is the Coast Guard. So they put you under that training more. So if you're too hectic to help anybody, you should at least be trained enough to get yourself to safety. Because the way they look at it is that's one less person they have to go and get. Like okay, go to the evacuate. We'll get the whoever. So. And we train twice a week. While y'all are off the boat having fun or at a luau or something, we train twice a week. So.
Well, that's reassuring. And I suppose you, well, like radios are fun now. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where you living these days?
I'm in Springfield, Illinois currently, which is an hour outside of St. Louis, which is a fun fact for you. St. Louis and New Orleans are sister cities, so they go along the same spine. So they have the same cuisine, the same fleur-de-lis, the same Mardi Gras and stuff. It's just smaller.
I didn't know that, yeah.
Yeah.
The current COVID climate there right now?
About 20, 30 degrees colder than the South, because the South is probably 80, 90 right now. So we're about 50, 60. We're coming out of winter into spring.
Yeah. I've only been to Illinois. Chicago's in Illinois. I've only been to Chicago. And yeah, I very much disliked it. But it was because it was the winter. And like Chicago has tunnel winds. So
okay.
Was that like ear biting cold? How are things with the pandemic over there?
I mean, with this being a town in between the two, I mean, it's still pretty much shut down. But most big city people, they just adapt. Okay, I got to wear a mask because they need to get stuff done. Okay, I got to get the vaccine. A lot of the suburban areas and small towns have more of a fight. Yeah. But I mean, it's not as normal as it was. You're used to seeing just lots of people and lots of people out. But you see people out. It wasn't as bad as the shutdown when you didn't see a car or a soul or nobody on the road. But now, people are going to the grocery store a little bit more and, going to restaurants a little bit more because people tired of being just shut down, really.
Yeah, because how do you feel about it?
How do I feel about it?
Yeah.
I feel like if we would have kind of shut down earlier on to kind of diffuse what was going on and maybe let it like go away, we would have been better off. But American way is you can't tell me what to do, and then you got a lot of that, and it's like, oh my God. And it just dragged it out to now we don't even know if we're going to be the same again. So, I mean, it was nothing to listen out the window. And you probably heard this guy at the bar. Woo! That guy, you've heard him before. Random guy, you don't know him. You don't even hear that guy anymore at all. I don't even hear him. So I know we're not going to be the same.
Yeah, so I mean, England is just, the Prime Minister has made like a plan to like unlock most non-essential businesses have already opened now. And then like a week ago, last week, there was this huge brawl where like at least 50 drunk men just like had a queue in a park because like that's how many pubs are open. And yeah, I mean, I think every country kind of fucked the opportunity, except for like Australia and New Zealand. Well, like China, England, the US, they all kind of dropped the ball.
I said the day that they say the country is unlocked, the police in the hospital is going to work twice as hard because the people are going to get drunk and fall or fight or think they can make it home, and it's just going to be a mess. So,
yeah, definitely. I mean, that brawl is proof of that, I guess, in the park.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what are you doing now most? Are you working in the restaurants now?
No, I actually transitioned over to healthcare right before the pandemic. That was pretty actually strategic of me. So you know, a lot of places like hospitals and nursing homes, their food gets forgotten because it's a hospital, you know. So, you know, most of my mission is trying to infuse all of that I've learned in my travels, being able to have it in a nursing home, you know, because if they are eating well and they do enjoy what they eat, they might heal, or, you know, their family members might be more willing to come visit them more because the food is so good, which will bring up the morale of the patient or resident and bring in, you know, like if you're going to visit grandma and you're like, grandma, want you to have dinner with her, and it's something you don't, you're like, oh, they feeding you this. You'll wait until after dinner to come, or you won't come as often because, you know. But if you're hungry, like, oh man, last time I went to go see grandma, they had shrimp and grits and sauteed crab. And you're like, come on, grandma, let's eat. And you're eating and you're talking and you're being a family. So, but there's a lot of diet restrictions. There's a lot of ingredients that you can't use in healthcare, which does make it like difficult. So my mission has been being able to get that same flavor without those ingredients. You can't have a lot of salt. There is no butter. Got to cut down on pepper. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of ingredients that come natural that you don't think about to other dishes. They want this to taste like this, but they're taking the ingredients away.
So what kind of things would you use instead of butter, like margarine and things like that?
Unfortunately, margarine is a big prominent here in the United States, but I would prefer to get away from it. Some things don't require margarine. Some things either create their own oil, or we can use different types of oil, flaxseed or olive oil. But yeah, I mean, butter tastes good on everything. We all need to admit that. But margarine is actually, they actually designed margarine. I don't know if this is over in, you know, where you're from, but they designed margarine originally to fatten up turkeys. When they realized it was doing something to the turkeys, they had made all this product and didn't know what to do with it. So they incorporated that butter flavor and packaged it as margarine. Margarine is one molecule from plastic.
I didn't know that.
So that's why I don't really want to. You didn't know that?
No. I mean, I know it's margarine.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like refined vegetable oils.
Yeah, no, it was a combination of a lot of things. It will say vegetable on there, but if you dig a little deeper, the original reason why it was made was to fatten up turkeys. Because, you know, we're a big Thanksgiving country, so we need a lot of big plump turkeys.
Yeah, it's odd how it gets like advertised as healthier as butter than.
Yeah, they did that. Well, they did that with cigarettes. They did that with soda. They did that with margarine way back in the day. All that stuff was healthy until they look at the health risks of certain things. So it's better than butter because there's a lot of people that are lactose intolerant. They can't tolerate certain things. You know, you're not harming animals so much, but at the same time, you're collecting a different type of oil that your body may not be able to process in the best way.
Yeah. So is this like a catering company you work for that you get like sent to different hospitals and nursing homes?
I did have that position and did a home in on one that was closer to my home. I have been to different hospitals and nursing facilities through the Midwest. But you know, after a while you get tired, like, okay, I want to come home every night and just be in my house.
You ever thought about starting your own restaurant or food truck or catering company?
Say it one more time.
Have you, or do you consider opening your own like restaurant or catering company?
I have. There's actually a restaurant downstairs that I live in an apartment complex building. And they built a restaurant downstairs. So in between me going to different facilities, I'll go down and help them or consult with them or try to create a dish or something. So it's in me. With the pandemic going on, I'm just kind of like, I'm kind of glad I didn't, because I don't know if I would have been able to handle a shutdown. You know, I'm not one of them bigger restaurants starting out. You know, but I think a food truck during it would have been like best to transition your restaurant into a food truck. That way you don't have people coming in. It's COVID friendly. Everything's on disposable, you know, but you just need a permit for that.
Yeah, I think, opening anything, even like a couple of years before this pandemic.
Right.
Get like most, I'm not sure, I don't remember the number, but it was an incredibly high number of small businesses that just got wiped out, even after
Yeah.
the lockdown. So yeah, it would have been dangerous too. What are they cooking downstairs?
When they started, it was supposed to be like an Asian bistro fusion because they had a different chef that had a lot of ideas. When they were trying to figure out their problem spots, I was reading their menu and I said, your menu is supposed to tell a story about the restaurant. You're supposed to, okay, you should be able to read through and go, okay, this is a Italian restaurant or this is this restaurant. The issue they were kind of all over the place. They had a steakhouse, they had bulgogi and Hawaiian bowls, they had shrimp and grits, they had Alfredo. So they were all over the place. And if you're going to be like one of the restaurants that needs to say, hey, we are a little bit of, tell a story. So now they're trying to make it more concise to go along with what's simpler for them, because they had several different meats and all these different seafoods, nowhere to store it, no, way to go ahead. It's great to have a grand idea, but you need to be organized.
Yeah, Asian bistro is pretty. I don't want to say exclusive. I can't find the word right now, but very specific.
Yeah.
So to have Hawaiian things there. What do they think?
Mm-hmm.
Per your advice, what do they think?
They did take heed to some of the advice. I mean, hell, I'm consulting, so it's your restaurant. You're gonna do what you want to do. But I mean, one thing I did tell them, take heed of, you got 7 different types of steaks in here and you only sell 3. So what are you going to do with the other 4? This is what you can do with the other 4. Here's some ideas for the other 4. Maybe that'll sell. And they realize, that, they need to go a route with being more, a little bit smaller. But I mean, luckily they was trying to move to, because they had poke on the menu and they had tuna, they had salmon, scallop, shrimp, lobster. And I'm like, that's wonderful, but it's kind of all over the place, really,
Yeah. Have you noticed it get like, I mean, I'm not sure how long you've lived there, but over time, have you noticed it get any busier? Or how would you say it's doing?
If it got any busier?
Yeah.
Them downstairs are for me, like as far as in my nursing home area, my hospital thing. If it got busier, I mean, I can help a little bit, but I've given them, what I could give them. And as far as a nursing home, it stays steady. We have the same amount of people. So every day I would know how many people I'm cooking for. So it can be planned better, mapped out better. But downstairs, I don't think it'll be as busy as it was before the pandemic, because we're not allowed to fill to capacity. We can only do half because we're skipping every table, all over the country.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, well, I mean, who got you cooking? And how? Who got you cooking?
Who do my cooking?
Who got you cooking? Like
who got me cooking? My grandmother on my father's side. She was one of the first cooks at a local casino down there, female especially. So she was known for her cooking.
Yeah, she was Southern as well, was she?
Uh-huh.
So
she's grew up on gumbo and stuff like that with her.
Yeah. So is your family, your distant family, very native to Mississippi then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old were you?
Me? 37.
When you started cooking, I mean.
When I started cooking, I was 22.
Oh,
I was cooking at home, but you mean professionally getting paid for it? I was 22.
Well, I mean, it all starts at home, doesn't it? So
yeah.
At home.
Oh, when I started at home, I was 7.
Yeah.
Started cooking breakfast, started cooking simple meals, started learning how to barbecue with my father, started standing behind my grandma when she's making gumbo, stuff like that.
Was it just curiosity? Because I mean, I spoke to someone yesterday who was more or less forced to start cooking for himself because his parents were separated, and his dad, who lived, traveled a lot. So he more or less had to like resort to eating fast food every day or learn to cook. Was it a similar case for you, or was it just curiosity?
I think both. I love the smells and I'm greedy. I'm gonna eat, but it's around you so much, like it's part of my chores. Hey, you need to peel the potatoes, or you need to help me pick the greens, or what I'm saying, it becomes a part of your chore. And after a while, you're like, why do we do this? And then you go look at the next step. If your only step was to peel them and then you get to go play, what's the next step? Why am I doing this? What do these potatoes become? Like, so I would say curiosity too, as well.
Yeah. So you're always on the grill then with like your dad and grandmother instead of playing with other kids.
Yep. Near a stove. I mean, my Christmas presents when I was little was easy bake ovens. So it was always cooking something. My birthday's on Thanksgiving. I'm always cooking something.
I must have, taken away, but it's like kind of like kids who have their birthday on Christmas. Like the birthday kind of gets overshadowed by the holiday. Did you feel that way?
Oh, yeah, it did. I mean, it's hard to have a birthday party. That's why I'm kind of envious of people that got their birthdays in the summertime, like 4th of July, or like, what are you mad at? You get to have like a birthday bash and everybody can come because people want to come out in the summer. Thanksgiving, everybody's trying to be with their family, and I don't want them to be pulled away from their family to come, celebrate my birthday because I'm trying to be with my family. So, yeah. Most of my friends, their birthday had fall on a holiday. Like I have an April Fool's friend, Halloween, Christmas, New Year's, on Thanksgiving. We're just like, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, certainly. Tell me what the general atmosphere is. Illinois, you said you're living now. So most of the South especially is very tense right now. For a lot of reasons. Politics, the pandemic. It's hostile in Illinois.
It just depends if that mindset is anywhere. It can be. As you can see, I'm a person of color, so it will be tense if that mindset is there. I don't feel like it for me per se, but I'm not going to turn a blind eye to the fact that it isn't there and around. The South has always been tense. It never really got better. We just kind of swept it under the rug, or if we close our eyes really hard, nothing's happening. And, that's not necessarily true. A lot of Southern foods, such like gumbo and crawfish and shrimp, and funny enough, lobster, well, actually stems from that mindset. A lot of culinary, if you know anything about culinary, and this is even like when you go to the fancy French restaurants or German, a lot of culinary food across the board, no matter where you come from, came from a group of poor people that figured out how to cook something. And they cooked it so well. And of course, they worked for richer people than them, and they ate it. And that's how it became rich food. So that's no different than lobster, the shrimp, and gumbo. So that's just where that comes from.
Yeah, it's undeniable how strong the African and African American influence was on the food down there. It's incredible.
Yeah, okra came from Africa. And then the word gumbo is found in French and that African language. So okra is that, it's like, not a lack of a better word, melon, jalapeno kind of family. So that's what's in the gumbo. Gumbo means okra. Okra in English, but gumbo in another language.
Yeah, also things like black-eyed peas and a lot of melons.
Mm-hmm.
Popular there from Africa too, but also the cooking methods, because
Mm-hmm.
Egyptians were like the first people to
Mm-hmm.
eat fried foods,
Mm-hmm.
and that's certainly carried over.
Mm-hmm.
Fried chicken and everything, and very. A lot of
Um,
people don't notice it.
huh?
A lot of people, like Southerners, they don't notice it. They don't really check it that how heavy the influence is. It's quite funny.
Well, yeah. Well, the big thing in American culture, they don't realize that Southern and soul food is the only cuisine that actually originated here. A lot of stuff has come from Germany, come from Ireland, come from other countries because it was brought over with the people that migrated over. This Southern food is, if we were supposed to have an American cuisine, that would be it. Now we have some high-end Southern restaurants, like Alligator Soul is a good place in Savannah, and they do Southern food, but they change the meat. They'll try armadillo or antelope or anteater, stuff like that, and it's still Southern food, but they change the meat around. Um, we have other places like Gladys in Tennessee that was on a Food Network. Gus's is another small place in Tennessee where you can get something good. Have a Nice Day Cafe in Georgia. So people don't realize how much that food is in everything.
Yeah.
But they don't want to admit that this is should be considered like Italian and Mexican, and it's just kind of like, oh well, this is Italian and French, and we're kind of Southern food's kind of, oh, that's when you want a good old time, not that serious kind of thing.
No. I mean, Southern is incredibly serious. I mean, I've people in it at least. Yeah, because in the South, barbecue competitions and chili cook-offs and things like that, and gun even are taken seriously, to say the least. You're a fan of like exotic meats, like armadillo or alligator?
Have I had any, or have I cooked any?
Either.
I've had ostrich, shark. New York, I've had jellyfish, shrimp, prawn, red snapper, trout, bison, buffalo, duck. Calamari don't count. Everybody eat calamari. The squid. Frog, of course, that's Southern. Frog legs, rabbit, and python kangaroo.
Yeah. Oh,
They do that in Texas, the python chili and kangaroo burger.
I've never seen kangaroo down there. I've seen snake a few times. I've never eaten it. I've eaten your run in the mill exotic things like alligator. I had horse meat. Well, I not horse meat, or zebra meat. Things
I
like
did the alligator too. I didn't do horse meat yet though.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, I mean, horse or zebra meat was my favorite of them all. I'm not like with reptiles. It's a bit odd. I remember eating frogs a couple of years ago, and that was fine. And also eating fried alligator a couple of years ago when I was younger, and it was fine. But I made it recently, fried alligator, and that was very odd. Like eating fishy chicken.
Fishy chicken. Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, usually I wouldn't have a problem with exotic meats. It's only really reptiles.
Or turtle. Turtle soup is big in New Orleans too. New Orleans area.
You ever had turtle?
Never had turtle?
No. Have you?
Yeah. I can't do it. It's weird. I don't know why that one was like kind of weird to me. I feel bad, like, But I've had friends and family, hey, get some turtle soup. No, that's where I stopped.
Yeah. I mean, it's a bit odd. I mean, I don't want to single out turtles or anything. But like I've heard, surely like a turtle they sell in restaurants is like cleaner. Like survivalists who catch turtles like in the wild and eat them. Like a lot a lot more than most other meats, get really, really sick from turtle specifically.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a bit iffy for me.
Yeah, well, we did have to cook snail, which ends up being escargot, and then they have fresh sardines that because the school went with the market. Not like here in America, you just get it. You have to follow the market when we went to school overseas, which was very interesting. But I don't see how anybody could eat certain. It's a line, it's a slimy, snotty thing, and it's not fun. But I did think I'm like, well, if they sauteed this in Old Bay, this is really, really close to they like cook a snail or escargot and let it toughen up a little bit more. It's closer to crawfish than this, but sometimes you try to find the connection home so you can eat it. Like, okay, it tastes like this. I like this. I'm trying to get as close as possible.
Snails are odd. I've had snails only a few times, and they've either been really good or like really bad. It's kind of like the same with cooking okra. Like you can do it really well, or it comes
Right.
out really slimy.
Right.
I remember the very first time I ate okra, when it was cooked for me. I don't know. I'm not sure how he cooked it. Yeah, he must. But anyway, it came out really, really slimy, and it took
Yeah.
for the longest time. And I've only recently started to start cooking it again, and I've cooked it a few times. Like done a lot of things like deep fry it and saute it and put it in things and make gumbo with it, of course. But yeah, I was put off it for a long time.
Yeah. I can understand that. That's my father loves the fried okra. I'm like, yeah. It's not in a bowl. I'm not eating it. So.
Yeah, sure. Um, so I suppose moving around a lot, you must have lived more like in in cities and towns rather than out in the country. So hunting has been a big part of whatever you do.
No, not too much. Hunting was more so, the guys, the men would do that. So, deer isn't part of my upbringing, especially in Virginia. There's a lot of deer. So, everybody's Thanksgiving is different. So I have a different Thanksgiving for each place that you heard me live. And in Virginia, we focus more on the deer and the blue crab than the turkey so much, you know. So, but we didn't have to hunt. I didn't have to go out there and hunt it. The deer would come to us and, get broken down and cooked, to our liking. And then in Mississippi, a lot of times families kind of pair up and they'll buy the animal or whoever hunted the animal and then they'll split it up. And then, if you went hunting with your family, like, hey, we got this deer, we just want this part. Well, our family wants this part. And then we'll take it and split it up like that. They do that with cows too. Like, oh, okay, well, we just want this and this part. Can we, and take the cow to the butcher? So you're not out there just killing. But it happens. It's hunting. I mean, my family focused more on fishing than anyway. That's their form of hunting. So.
Yeah, the more I look into southern food, the more seafood seems to have influence on it. Although I definitely I've lived and I've researched more about coastal areas. So I know like things in Memphis and like in Tennessee, meat and barbecue. And Texas obviously meat is a huge thing.
That's where most of the cattle is. So
yeah, Florida.
But if you go like to Maine, all the lobster is there. You go to Seattle, that's where all the salmon is. So, you can kind of figure out, about what people like to eat. You can kind of see where they're from.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was nice to speak to you. I actually see we just went over time slightly. So
yeah,
wonderful to have you. It was definitely one of the more interesting conversations I've had.
Oh, cool. I'm glad to have that.
I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Took many nice things. I will send you a copy of this if you'd like it. once it's
Okay.